Hello and welcome to J Hart Model Works. I'm Justin and this is my very first YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about, or I'm going to show you how I do my interior wood trim. It's a technique that I found on YouTube in one video. All the other videos I found on wood trim are about doing like wood panels or wood paneling like a truck bed or for armor, doing wooden boxes, and that's not really what I was after. This is more of a burl wood or a mahogany kind of interior glossy finish, wood finish. And I found it on one video and I've never been able to find that video again. So I figured I would make one to try and share this technique I found and help people out. What we're going to need is, of course, our painted part. This is a door to an old, I think this is a McLaren Revel 570S. It's primered in UMP gray primer. You can also find this as Stynel Res, and I think Ammo MIG one shot. The UMP has an agreement for reselling this primer as UMP. I like to support my fellow hobbyists as much as I can, so I buy UMP primer from umpretail.com. But like I said, if you just want a good acrylic primer, this is excellent stuff. Sprayed through an airbrush at, I'm going to use like a 3.35 needle at about 30 psi, and it self levels. It comes out beautiful. So like I said, I get mine from umpretail.com. You can go grab Stynel Res from your local hobby shop probably. So you got your primered part. You're going to need 2 paint brushes. This is an old Testors brush that I have chopped a bunch of pretty much all the bristles off of, so it's just down. I use this for dabbing or stabbing. You never really want to use your good brushes for that stabbing. Brushes are supposed to be used for a nice gentle brush, so don't use your good brushes for this. This is an old crappy brush, and like I said, I just cut off the bristle ends. I originally used this for brushing out flocking when I flock carpet for the interiors. The other brush we're using is going to just be a soft wide bristle brush. This is going to be used for blending. I'll show you that when we get there. A bit of paper towel, or as my friends across the pond like to call it, kitchen roll. You're going to need 4 paints. You're going to need a neutral brown, so you could use something like Tamiya's flat brown or any other brown you want. I'm going to use this XF72 brown with a bunch of letters because it's a military paint, but this is a good neutral brown that I like. XF57 buff, some XF1 flat black, and some X26 clear orange. So that's all that we're going to need to get through to do this. Maybe some masking tape, which I will be masking this off. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to do this part right in here, just this little insert area, and I'm going to spray this. I'm going to spray just a nice coat of this brown, this neutral brown. My spray brush is in the garage. I don't have an extraction fan, so I'm not going to show you me spraying this, but I am going to stop and come back in a few minutes, and when I do, this will be masked off and will be sprayed brown. So I'll see you shortly. Alright, we're back from the spray booth. As you can see, I just put down a couple of nice light coats of this what is it, XF72 brown JGSDF, and that's giving us the base substrate for our wood. Yeah, I know that technically this area through here is supposed to be a speaker. Normally I would have masked that off, done it in something like black, but this is just a spare door from a secondary kit bunch of spare parts, and I just wanted more area for you guys to see this effect in. So I'm just going to do that whole insert in the wood brown. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with our XF1 flat black. I always start with my dark first. It's just me, maybe. Other people may go light first, but I always start with my dark. So what we're going to do is we're going to take your dabbing brush here, and you're going to load it up with paint, and then you're going to come to your paper towel and get most of that paint back off. Then we're going to come in here, and we are going to just gently dab some small blotches on the part. Don't just go in the center. Remember, some of this is wood, and this would have been cut from a panel, so you kind of want to make this uneven. Get some in the middle, get some on the edges. Don't make it uniform. We don't really want this to look like it's patterned. Nature is nice and crazy. Load up some more black in here because I don't really like the effect I'm getting. There we go. It's a little more. So that gives us our base. We're going to let this kind of dry for a second. Clean off our brush. I don't want to let it get fully dry, otherwise it won't blend when you use your blending brush. But you don't want it completely wet, or you're just going to make a whole bunch of mess. So just give it a second here. Tidy up your area. And then we will go in with this XF57 buff. You could probably get away with using ship deck tan or any other similar colors you're used to. Again, we're going to load up the brush, take most of that off, and this is referred to as by several people as a dry brush dab. So it's kind of like the dry brushing technique, only instead of brushing, we're stabbing with it. And we're going to make some highlights in here. These don't have to be uniform either. Just kind of get some bright spots. Break up some of that dark and some of that neutral. Now, give that just a second, and then we're going to take a soft, wide, this is a Tamiya brush. This is a nice blending brush. We're just going to gently brush across it. We're not trying to completely smear it. We just want to blend a little bit. Kind of get us a little bit more. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it. It kind of mixes the colors a little, so we're not just hard black and bright tan. Sometimes you may go back in after this and say, oh, I kind of took a little too much. Put a couple more highlights in there. Get you some, as my friend Paul over on International Scale Modeler likes to call it, tonal variation. Paul's an excellent modeler. I highly suggest you check him out. International Scale Modeler is his YouTube channel. Find him on Facebook on International Scale Modeler Group. Excellent resource, lots of videos, tons and tons, a wealth of information. So that's what we got here. And you're like, yeah, that does not look like wood to me. But we're almost done. And we're going to go on to the magic trick to this. And the magic trick to this is clear orange. I like Tamiya's clear orange. I like Tamiya's paints in general. This is the X26 clear orange. I'm going to spray this with the spray brush again, so I'm going to go out in the garage and spray. And when I come back, I'll show you what we're going to get. But what you want to do, there's two different ways you can do it. You can kind of do a mist coat and then come back with like a clear gloss or a semi-gloss, or whatever level of gloss you want. What I tend to do is just spray kind of a medium wet coat or a wet coat with this and just get the gloss finish that I want, because I usually want it pretty glossy. That's just me. If you want like a semi-gloss, then I would spray just a light mist of this, just to get, what this is going to do is this is going to tie all those colors together. It's going to turn those bright spots into more of a goldeny wood color. It's going to just tie the whole thing together. It's magic. It's beautiful. So I'm going to go spray this, and I'll come back and show you what we've got. Alright, we're back from the spray booth spraying the clear orange. I just want to reiterate a couple of points here real quick before we show the final result. So with this brush, with this dab method, it's a very gentle stabbing. You're not brushing anything. You don't want to smash. You just want to get just a little bit of paint on this tip, then just barely stab just enough that you see the paint go down onto the part. You don't want to mash it in there. You're going to get a blob. You also don't want to just load up your paint and then stab directly. You want to take most of that off, or you're just going to get a ball of glossy ball of paint, and it's just going to make a mess. So just real light dabs, just very gentle. And then when you go to brush to kind of smooth it out, again, there's just no pressure at all. You're just going to very lightly brush across it. You don't want to mash across it. You'll smear everything really bad. Just kind of want to lightly brush, just barely brush it so that it blends. And then after you spray your clear orange, you get your result. And this here is what we've got. This is still slightly wet, still a little sticky, but it's just 2 to 3 light coats of the clear orange, just enough to kind of get the tone that I want. The more clear orange you put, the orangier and darker it's going to be. So if I wanted to let this dry for a little bit, put another coat, let it dry for a little bit, I will get darker and darker and more of a golden orangey color. So we're going to very gently unmask this here real quick. You want to pull away from your painted surface. Don't just rip at things. You will cause problems. Just very gently peel that off like so. Get some tweezers here real quick. See if we can't get this last bit of paint or tape off of here. There we go. And voila. Now if this were a part I was actually going to put on a car, I would have masked this better so that this wasn't in here. So that's actually a speaker insert in there. That would have been painted black, but that's what you've got. If you go after this with, if you wanted to, you could put some clear on here. Maybe a 2K if you're afraid of it being damaged. Let it dry, sand that out, and you'll get a real glossy, smooth finish. Right now I haven't sanded or buffed or cleared it. I would not try to buff this without putting some clear over it. But this is just out of the spray gun, and that's the wood effect you get. Let me see if I can get that a little closer so you can see better. So you see all of our wood variation, all of our tones. There you go. Camera focus. Lights and darks and kind of in between areas. This just gives a beautiful, beautiful result. And it's like I said, this is a technique that I just haven't found. I found on one YouTube video and I can't find it again, so I wanted to keep this technique out there so that others can learn. So there you have it. You can find a lot of my models on Facebook. I post to the International Scale Modelers group. I'm looking at opening a page specifically for my models. Right now I do a lot of my models, but it's on my personal page, and you don't really want, you know, your personal profile interacting with, you know, something like this. You can also find me on Instagram, which I'll put a link to that in my description, because I don't know right off the top of my head what my Instagram is. I'm new to this. And again, that's our technique for wood finish, for interior wood. Works great on dashboards, works great on door inserts. I've even done it on shift knobs. I like to use sewing pin, and I'll sand the sewing pin down, and then I'll paint the head with this technique, with this exact same technique. Flat brown through the airbrush, darks, light highlights, clear orange, and it works every time. And like I said, you can change the depth of how how dark you want it with this clear orange. More coats of the clear orange, the darker it's going to be. I hope this has been helpful for you, and you all have a great day. If you want, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, comments. Love to hear from you, hear any ideas that y'all have, things like that.